Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Societal Narcissism. This video is sponsored by contribution from Ladies of Liberty. Ladies of Liberty gives a monthly contribution, which I will use for this video. But before I get into the video content, I ask everybody to go to the description box and click on the Rumble link of this video and watch the video over on Rumble, as I'm still monetized over there. And it will help with the channel greatly. That being said, I am back. Little break. I'll get into it on another video, what was going on. Good stuff. New mic, like I said. Hopefully it makes a difference. But I figure we'll just jump right into it with a quick boomer video, because we all love those. And this was just dropped with Charlie Kirk on. And I'm not a big Charlie Kirk guy, but you know he's okay. But you know where I'm at with Tucker. I'm a big Tucker fan. And Tucker's talking about one of our favorite topics, the boomers. In this segment, I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm just doing this boomer segment because it really encapsulates everything I have been talking about on this channel for so long. So here we go.
It needs a remedy.
But here again, let me just kind of complete. The problem should not be how are we going to get the 1% to flourish. We shouldn't penalize them. But the question should be, how do we get the bottom 50% to have a little bit better life and their kids to have a much better life? And
what they're talking about, is the obvious wealth imbalance that the boomers have the advantage of, where the boomers have sucked out all the wealth, all the everything out of Western civilization, and they're going to take it with them to the grave.
Their grandkids to have an even better life than that. That's the American project, is intergenerational wealth building, is that you're going to sacrifice a little bit.
And the boomer don't believe in intergenerational. That's what I've been talking about, intergenerational wealth. Building family empires that matter. But these boomers, the 79%, not the 21%, they're going to take it all with them. And they want to burn it all down on the way out.
Your kids will be better off. And this is the kicker. Why is it that these students are showing up in massive numbers to my events? Why do they vote for Trump? This is a fact. It is the first time since George Washington that this generation has it worse off than their parents at the same age. It has not happened. Not even during the Great Depression. It's about the same. This generation is significantly worse off.
That's not true. That's not true. See, now that's where he's off. You don't get it. See, again, these millennials, these Gen Zers, they forget about Gen X. This all started with Gen X. That's not true. I mean, if we looked at the chart of the 79%, the difference between the boomers' wealth and Gen X wealth, okay, Gen X is the next generation after the boomers. Okay, is doubled. They have double the wealth of Gen X. So that's not true. This has been happening since Gen X, that the next generation isn't as well off as their parents. I wasn't as well off as my parents. I wasn't in the same financial situation at the same age as my parents. Not because I didn't work as hard. I worked twice as hard as them. It was the value of the dollar. It's how much can your dollar buy in 2001 when I bought my house compared to 1971 when my parents bought their house. Would you rather have an 8% interest rate on a $30,000 mortgage over 30 years, or would you rather have a 5% interest rate on a $250,000 mortgage over 30 years? You tell me what. You tell me. Don't try to explain that to a boomer, though. Don't try to explain that to your boomer parents. They're not going to have it. Oh, if anybody's wondering what's going on with my lip, I picked up these nicotine pouches. So, I was always a nicotine fan. And again, this is one of Tucker's products, the Alps. They're excellent. The other problem was I was having a plateau problem with my weight loss. I was stuck for the last 2 months at the same 5 pounds, and this broke me through it, so I'm happy. Anyway, back to the subject matter at hand.
And the problem, this is what no one mentions. We're not poorer. So you look at all these problems, you would think, like if you're from Mars and you're like looking at all these numbers, you would think that the country's gone through like an economic tailspin the last 15 years. Like, okay, your young people can't afford homes and they're putting groceries on.
Well, the generations have gone through an economic tailspin, not except for the boomers. Everybody's gone through an economic tailspin other than the boomers. And the boomers, because if they might have lost some money in the stock market or in their investments or what have you, but they're fine. They'll complain about it like they're about to hit the poorhouse. They're nowhere near the poorhouse. Because the money they lost was money they didn't really earn anyway.
On credit, and they're killing themselves, and they're socially isolated, and they're addicted to benzodiazepines and Zoloft. It's obvious you guys went through like a terrible economic catastrophe.
Right.
Like
you lost
Depression.
a war, yeah.
No, the stock market's at record highs. Our companies are more valuable than ever. So wait, we've solved the tough stuff. We know how to create wealth, but we don't know how to create it for the generation that needs it most. If you look at the economic conditions, you would think the other conditions surrounding it are like abject poverty. These are the problems that like third world nations have.
I know.
Our young people can't afford stuff and they have to finance their basic necessities.
But that's what the boomer wants. The boomer wants you, okay, to live in a third world nation. They want to be the last generation that conquered a first world Western civilization. That's it. They don't want to leave anything behind for anyone else because they're bitter that they can't live forever.
And yet we're the wealthiest nation in the history of the world on the planet. We have a $37 trillion GDP. We have the greatest companies, and we have all this stuff to brag about. And yet all of our problems would beg the question, and it's like this inherent contradiction. We're super wealthy on one side, like a powerhouse juggernaut, and we are like an economic nightmare on the other side. How did that happen? Answer.
Boomers.
The wealth went to older people.
Yeah, the boomers. The boomers were given every freaking advantage known to man. They were allowed to tear shit up in the 60s, okay? And then in the mid-70s, 80s, they acted like they didn't do it. And it's just unreal. It's just unreal what this generation has been allowed to get away with for decades. Going on 6-7 decades.
Expense of the next generation.
That's for sure.
Every single economic growth decision of the last 30 years has been made. I am going to benefit. My baby boomer generation is going to benefit. And I don't care if it hurts young people. And I'm not anti-boomer. I get negative hate mail all the time because the boomers are super protective of their generation, as if I'm like attacking Presbyterians or something.
They're repulsive. They've always been repulsive. And I grew up in a world, I was born in 1969. The baby boom ended in 1965. So it was 65 or 64. Whatever. It was just the post-war generation, ended mid-60s. I'm not a boomer. Thank heaven. My father was not a boomer. He was born in 1941.
Silent.
Totally different attitudes,
Silent.
right? He was born before the Second World War, our entry into it. I was educated by them. They were my teachers. And they were the worst.
The worst.
Dumbest, most narcissistic, the shallowest. Every sentence had like 9.
And I have talked about this ad nauseum, especially in my earlier days, about teachers are not heroes. This is the same experience so many Gen Xers went through because this was the beginning of this college prep shit, trying to hammer every square peg into a round fucking hole. Horribly educated, starting with Gen X.
9 cliches in it. They were all at Woodstock. They remembered when Kennedy was shot. It was the day the music died. Like everything they said was like the Don McLean tune. It didn't make sense. It was just a series of evocative cliches strung together.
And it was awesome. It was better than anything that's ever existed before or will ever exist again. Just ask them. Just go watch their movies. Just go watch The Big Chill as they're kissing their record albums. And insufferable. Insufferable. The 79% of you.
Such a creative feeling. They were idiots, but above all, they were about themselves.
They were idiots, but above all, they were about themselves. Because that's the thing with most of these boomers. They're dumb. They're fucking dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb. They're dumb. And whether they're mesmerized by right-wing Hannity boomer brain rot or left-wing MSNBC boomer brain rot, they all think the same, the 79% of them. They're all the same. They're dumb and they're entitled.
I hated them then. I hate them now.
And I've talked about this ad nauseum too. even as a child, and this was Gen X, not only me, most of the kids in my class, we knew that there was something fucking wrong with our parents. We all knew it. We all knew they were liars. We knew they were hypocrites. We knew they said one thing and did another. Our parents, our teachers, the whole thing was fucked up for us. The whole thing. And we saw through it. We didn't like them then, and we like them even less now.
In fourth grade, I remember saying to a buddy of mine, I hate these
For me, it was fifth grade. Fifth grade, but him fourth grade.
people.
I hate these people.
Our math teacher just told us I was at Woodstock. I was like, how many fucking people were at Woodstock? Like everyone in
Exactly.
America was at Woodstock?
Exactly.
I thought it was 300,000 people. It made it like it was. They're the worst. They're the ones who lecture us about the civil rights movement for 40 years as the actual supposed beneficiaries of the civil rights movement. Black people declined. They didn't care. They were only about feeling good about themselves.
Yep, it's about the gesture. It's not about the reality. Okay? And their kids' generation, the Gen Xers, the ones came up right after them, we didn't deal with this shit, this racial. That's why when all this shit started blowing up about 10 years ago, the Gen Xers are like, what is this about? We were past all this shit. But nope. The boomers have to have their second teenage years in their, in their old age, and here we go again. They turn back into teenagers.
The only good thing they produced was like the music of 1972.
Even that sucked. Even that wasn't what they think it was. I mean, there was some good music, but it isn't what they think it is or what they make it out to be.
Other than that, horrible people. Horrible.
Awful.
Sorry.
Well, and so, yes. So, yeah.
Yes. Like, what else do you say? Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I'm sorry. I grew up with them.
That's okay. Everyone can email Tucker your hate mail when it
No,
comes
they're
to the boomer
disgusting.
hate.
And by the way, if you are a baby boomer, take some responsibility for what you participated in.
Take some responsibility. And listen, there's plenty of boomers on my channel that say, hey, I'm a boomer, and you're right, I can't stand my own generation. But they won't. They won't. They'll mock you to the grave. That's part of the fun. It's taunting you with their wealth and their money and their sloth. They love it. They can't get enough of it.
That is the kicker. That's what I will say. You guys have had it great. You've had the greatest run. You've had
Ever.
what either Eric Weinstein would call the ego, the embedded growth obligation, right? Ego, meaning things just keep getting better. The market goes up, your house gets more valuable.
No matter what happens, everything gets better for this no matter what happens in the financial system, war, no matter what, the boomer somehow comes out on top every freaking time. And it's not like they had to work for it. If it was one thing, if they were putting in all this work that nobody else wanted to do or put in, but that wasn't the case. It was so easy. They didn't even need a high school diploma to get a job back then, to get a good job. If they lose their job, they can go out and find another one the next day. Stop it.
And you guys are trying to squeeze the last of a lemon, and you are leaving a crummy, unrecognizable serfdom in your wake.
Of course they are.
And that is... It's bad for you. It's bad for your legacy. It's bad for your nation.
They're the ones who...
They don't care. They don't, because they're not going to be... It's not bad for them because by the time the consequences come around, they're dead. And they don't give a shit about their legacy. Their legacy of dying in control, of dying with the last word, is all they really want. The boomer wants to die having the last word. Period. That's all that matters to them.
went right from protesting the Vietnam War to like making all this money on Wall Street. Remember Jerry Rubin was a yippie. I mean, this is before you were around, but
John
like
Kerry went from, the it's the whole thing. It was all live action role playing rebellion.
Which is what you're dealing with now, is you're just dealing with more theater kids. The boomers were the original theater kids. Live action role playing, LARPing revolution, LARPing, music genre, LARPing act, LARPing. It's all just LARPing and acting from failed drama and theater kids. This is why, if I'm in charge, okay, All public and private school K through 12 drama and theater clubs are banned. They're banned because this is what they produce. I'm also going to ban all the high school marching bands because most of the people out there rioting came from them with their stupid drums and tubas out there making fucking noise, thinking that they were going to be rock stars from playing the goddamn bass drum. Oh, I'm a fucking rock. No. Stop deluding everybody. The people who make it are the top 0.0000.1%. Yet we're like just gassing up. All these guys, you can do it too. No, you can't. All you're creating is more bitter and angry people. I didn't make it. Why did this guy make it? I'm going to go burn some shit or throw something through a glass window. That's what's happening. The boomers were the original theater kids.
LARPing is what it was.
I would just exclude anyone born between 1946 and 1964 from ever holding any office. And I know a lot of them, I'm sure they're nice people or whatever.
We like Trump.
Anyone from except Trump. Trump's in there. And like I said, 1946 to 1965, but it's that post-1954 boomer that is the real problem. That post-Senator Joe McCarthy censure in the Senate, that let the boomers know all you got to do is scream McCarthyism and you could shut your parents down. You can shut the authority figures down because they don't want to be called a McCarthyite. I told you these people had us at the censure of Joe McCarthy.
But your the whole generation is just rotten.
But let's extrapolate one part of it, which is that it's definitely that generation has not had a regard for leaving an economic.
They don't care about anyone but themselves. That's the whole point.
So if you employ that belief into fiscal policy and monetary policy, this is what you get. An intergenerational war.
Yeah, their grandchildren.
And that's the war that I have been talking about. The war isn't racial. The war isn't country against country or nation against nation. And, borders are important. Okay. The problem has been, and going forward, is an intergeneration. It's generational. You have one generation that has sucked up all the wealth and all the resources for themselves and refuse to share it with anyone and want to just take it all with them. And at the end of the day, they don't care.
Who they don't care about.
Yes, and so what I'm trying...
Because they're on John's Island.
And, or wherever they are, right?
They're on John's Island, but whatever.
Well, yeah, and amongst other places.
No, I like John's Island. I'm just saying they're in retirement.
Yes.
And they're kind of psyched with what they have.
And their stocks keep on going up.
Yeah, and their grandson Dylan is like totally zoned out on prescription drugs, and they don't really care.
Right.
And that's the end of that segment. They're going to switch over to something else. So, great boomer segment. Very good. Very on point. Again, I've been on these boomers since the beginning of the channel. And, this pretty much encapsulates everything I have been talking about. But it really sums it up. Where all this came from. Like what we're seeing today. And it's all, again, based in the boomers. Why? Because the boomers were the original theater kids. And the theater kids have got to go. So, thank you, ladies of Liberty, for your monthly contribution. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions in the comments section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both my channels on Rumble. And if you haven't watched this video on Rumble, please do. Even if you just click on it, a click helps. Also, be sure to subscribe to me on X and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.